Hello and welcome back to our online class. Today we will be moving on to our day 5 of Islamic studies. So please go ahead, read the narratives. It's found in your Google Classroom under lesson materials. Please go ahead, open that, read through the few paragraphs that I have. Sometimes I do put them in the description box, but not always they can fit due to the restricted space they have, only 5,000 characters. So please follow from the Google Classroom instead. Now, follow this video to understand certain concepts that I will try to make it easy for you to understand. And then once you're done with answering all the questions in your Google Doc, please turn in your assignments on time. All right, so let's dive into our lesson on Islam. Question number 1. Who is a caliph? Why was Ali not chosen as the first caliph even when he was related to the Prophet? Why? In fact, this is one of the reasons why today we have the two major groups of Muslims today. We have the Shia Muslims and the Sunni Muslims. We'll talk about the Shia Sunni a little later. But let's get into who is a caliph. A caliph is the chief Muslim civil and religious ruler. He is regarded as the successor of Muhammad. Ali was very young and inexperienced, therefore the Muslim community decided to elect Abu Bakr instead as the first caliph. So right after the Prophet dies in 632 CE, the big question is, who is going to be the leader to lead these Muslim tribes, the Arab tribes? And so some suggested it should be Abu Bakr, while others said it should be Ali since he is blood related. But Ali was too young, too inexperienced to lead such a big community. And so people said that I think it should be Abu Bakr because he is a friend of the Prophet. In fact, he is also so-called the father-in-law of the Prophet because his daughter Aisha was given in marriage to the Prophet. And so he was close to Muhammad, and therefore people decided it should be Abu Bakr. Question number 2. List few contributions Abu Bakr made to the Muslim community during his time. Alright, to begin with, I want you to know that Abu Bakr, who was a friend of the Prophet, almost of the same age of the Prophet, he led the community for 2 years before he also passed away. So during these 2 years, what are the things he contributed? Number 1, the final conquest of the Arabian Peninsula. The Arab that you see today, the Saudi Arabia that you see today, is the work of Abu Bakr. If you look at the map and you see Saudi Arabia, that is the work of Abu Bakr. He settled uprising after Muhammad's death. Now, right after the Prophet died, a lot of people started to leave Islam. They started to leave the community and they said, let's go back to our old ways. And so Abu Bakr's main job was to keep all these people together, making sure that they don't leave the community, ditch the community and go back to their old ways. And of course, he increased the Muslim territories. So these are some of his contributions. List few contributions Umar made to the Muslim community during his time. What are some of his contributions? Now, Umar was the second caliph. He took over right after Abu Bakr passed away. Umar was a friend of the Prophet. He was a very good friend. In fact, Umar at first was very, very anti-Islam. But after he read the Quran, according to some document, that Islam came into his heart and he accepted Islam. And now he is leading the Muslim community as the second caliph. Now, something about Umar. Umar was originally a soldier, an army, a general. And so he is already quite well trained in military and warfare. So let's take a look at what are some of the things he contributed. Number 1, Muslims ran successful campaigns against the Byzantine and Sasanian empires. Because as I told you, he has an experience in the military field, he was able to successfully end some of the campaigns against the Byzantine and the Sasanian empires. Now, you know where they are. They're up in the north. You have the Turkey and Iran and Syria, Iraq. And so he was able to launch campaigns against these empires. Number two, he organized the tribes into a permanent fighting force, meaning he created the first military in Saudi Arabia. They were permanent, meaning they didn't have to do any other work. They were paid by the people, either from their tax, zakat, or whatever. And so they didn't have to go and work. They were funded by the government. And so they were alert 24 hours. And therefore, there was peace during this time in Arab, because people knew that they have a military who would always defend them. And this is the reason why you see number three, his era was marked by his Puritan character. And yes, during this time, they say it was the most peaceful time, the golden age of the Arabs, Arabia, because Umar, being a very, very moral, good person, at the same time, his ability to be a soldier, leadership that gave peace and security in their community. List few contributions Uthman made to the Muslim community during his time. So now let's take a look at our third caliph, Uthman, and what did he do? Well, first of all, Muslim forces continued to conquer new areas. Yes, now they're going out of the Arab Peninsula. You could say they were now going into northern Africa. They're going into the eastern part like Iran and Afghanistan, going farther north to perhaps Turkey and beyond. And so from Egypt, they pushed west into North Africa. And in Iran, they continued to defeat the Sasanians. His greatest achievement, of course, was the compilation of the official Quran. Now, this is what he's really known for. A lot of Muslims today think the Quran that they have in their hand is the Quran that was actually compiled by Uthman, the third caliph. Well, when we come to the study of the Quran, we will find out more information as to what is the version of the Quran that we have, what is the origin of that Quran. We'll talk about that later. But for now, please take note, majority of the Muslims today think that the Quran that they have is the official Quran compiled by Uthman. Explain why the Kharijite killed Ali. Did Ali deserve such tragic treatment? Now let's take a look at what happened to Ali. Now just to let you know, yes, Ali was murdered. So was Uthman. But let's see what happened to Ali. Why was this ill treatment towards Ali? Now let me just read you what the slide says and help you to understand. They argued that because Ali had not defended the community by defeating Muawiyah, he had gone against God and therefore was no longer worthy of being ruler. Let me explain what is happening over here. So Ali went on a campaign to punish Muawiyah, who is the government in Syria. But he came to a point where he actually, instead of fighting against Muawiyah, he decided to actually make a peace treaty with Muawiyah. Now this, of course, didn't go well with his community, and they accused him that he should have done the will of God, will of Allah, by punishing Muawiyah. But instead, he made peace treaty with Muawiyah, which his people did not like. They say he has gone against God, and therefore they planned a coup, and at the same time, they assassinated Ali. And that was the end of Ali. Ali did not rule for long, and therefore he does not have a lot of contributions because he was killed at a very early age.